joining us. If you're new to Zoom webinar, you do have some choices in how you're seeing things. If you'll look up, kind of touch the box above the speakers, you can choose to see everybody in a grid, you know, our famous Brady Bunch. And that's what I recommend. That way you're getting to see everybody all the time. And, you know, we can watch and see what faces Grace and Jill make while the rest of us are talking. I think that's always important. All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Welcome. This topic is probably the question I get asked about most as an inside sales leader and now the new founder of Girls Club. I've been working for a while. I'm trying to move up. How do I bring it up? How do I make it happen? Or I've been passed over this many times. Ladies and gentlemen, have I got stories. So we decided that this is exactly the kind of topic we like to tackle, not just at Girls Club, but at Factor 8, as do so many of our partners. Outreach and Ambition especially raised their hands to help us sponsor this webinar. And instead of just keeping all this great content internally with our Girls Club training program, we're bringing it externally to everybody. We hope you'll also share it with your colleagues, with your teams, etc. So I'm just so passionate about helping everybody feel great about and going to work and feeling successful at work that I think this is a topic that will speak to so many of us. Let me introduce you to my fantastic panel. Here we go. Here, Jill, why don't you get us started?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jill Bruno. I am a sales manager. I had my first promotion in November of 2019, my most recent promotion, January 2020, and right now I am managing 4 reps.
Woo, nailed it. Thank you. Grace.
Hi, everyone. I'm Grace Tyson. I'm our VP of Sales at Chorus.ai. I was promoted into that role this January, which is super exciting, and I'm leading a team of 8 account executives.
Fantastic. Thanks, Grace. So happy that you've joined us. Chorus, by the way, our title sponsor for Girls Club this year. So we have nothing but love, making it possible.
Love it. Got the brand.
That's right. Awesome. Thank you so much. Angela.
Hello, I'm Angela Salazar. I recently promoted myself about 1.5 years ago to president of my own company. That company is Elevate Leadership Training and Development. Before that, I was a senior leader of a sales team. I had 7 managers reporting to me and 120 sales reps.
Fantastic. Thank you. And you guys probably recognize her name because Angela is our program director for Girls Club. We're just not her only client. And she is much, much loved. You're doing amazing things with our program this year, and everybody appreciates you. Now, I don't want to use token mail while I introduce you, Mark, but like maybe favorite guy is a better way to go.
Proud token male to be associated. Now, I'm Mark McWaters. I lead the sales org here at Ambition. We are big believers in Factor 8 and Girls Club and Lauren Bailey, and fortunate to be here. We are gamification and coaching for sales teams. My most recent promotion was January 2018 when I came into this role, but fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of really strong female leaders, both at Ambition and previous roles, and am married to a business owner. So happy to be here.
Yeah, we're really happy you're here too. I love Ambition, love Mark, and you've got a really great perspective on this. So folks, we're going to talk about how do we advocate for ourselves and get to the next level. I'm going to do it in 4 steps. The first thing we've got to talk about is fear, because that is absolutely what's holding us all back. The next thing we're going to talk about is preparing ourselves. And it's not just 5 minutes before you walk into the interview. Then we're going to talk about how do you get the meeting? Like, how do you bring it up? And then what do you do in that meeting itself? So step by step, we've got tips, tricks, and stories. Let me start with some statistics. Not an easy word to say for me this morning. As many of you know, the mission of Girls Club is to help more women get the courage to raise their hands and get to the next level in sales leadership, right? The numbers have been flat for far too long. And it's an intensive 6-month training program. These are some interesting stats from the Women in Generation 1 of Girls Club. That was last year. Of these super hard-charging women who got all the way to the bottom of the funnel and were selected to be part of Girls Club, almost half had still never applied for a promotion. So they're signing up for 6 months of hell and excitement and all this great stuff, but had still never applied for the promotion. And look at these reasons. Oh, I'm not sure I want to ask for help promoting myself. I don't want to ask for their time. I'm just not comfortable asking for these things. And if I were to bake it all down, the honest thing that shows me is that they're all rooted in fear. And I'm here to tell you that's okay, because we all feel that way, men and women alike. It is scary. When I think about going into my boss and saying, I want the next level, my hands still sweat, and I've been working for myself for 15 years, okay? Let's look at some of the things that we're afraid of. And then I'm gonna go straight to my panelists and say, true, not true, how did you feel? Like, which one of these speak to you? Jill, I'm gonna call on you first.
Sure. No, I had a lot of fear before I got promoted. The biggest thing that sticks out to me was I thought that nobody was going to see the value that I saw in myself, and I would just be laughed off like a joke, like, no way, you're not the fit.
Bingo. Yep. Angela, Grace, who wants to pop in next?
I would say my fear was that just I was already at the point, like, what if I don't get it? And that's where I would spiral into, what if I don't get it? Will that feel embarrassing? Will other people be like, oh, we knew she wasn't good enough? You know, that sort of feeling.
And I'm the kind of the opposite. I was embarrassed if I do get the title and the promotion, interestingly. So definitely some imposter syndrome and fear of, being found out as a fake, as a fraud, perhaps. Will people see me that way? Will they think I deserve the title? Will they be scoffing at me behind my back? That sort of thing.
It's so true, isn't it? Why do we give such a damn about what other people think? Like, they're not going to think I deserve it, or they do think I deserve it. What are they going to say? What are they going to say to other people? What are the other people going to say to the other people? That's insane, isn't it? Okay, so
totally.
Mark, I noticed that you didn't jump up right away with a fear story when we were talking about this, and it's a good lead in. Okay, I need to share my very favorite study with everybody, the thing that prompted me to start Girls Club. This was a study that Forbes published based on HP. It's called The Confidence Gap. And it says if there's a job posted or a promotion opportunity posted, and let's say there's 10 criteria on it, a woman will not apply until she has 10 out of 10 criteria. Yikes. Whereas a man will raise his hand at 6 out of 10. And when I talk about this on stages around the world, it's hilarious because the women are like 100, more like 120. And the guys are like, yeah, 40, 50, that'll work. Mark, what's your take on this? Were you afraid?
I was the example of what not to do. I started my career at
Tell us more.
AT&T. Yeah, I started my career at AT&T. I was in the leadership development program. You know, I thought I was like God's gift to AT&T. And I was 6 months in. I had had some success. I thought I was, again, like setting the world on fire. And I asked for a promotion way too soon. Was not qualified. There were much better people to take that role. But I thought, what the hell? I might as well ask.
Whoa. And did you get it?
No, of course I didn't get it. My boss, very quickly, she was like, Mark, I appreciate that you're eager to be promoted, but let's talk about what I'm looking for in the role. And the big error on my end was I was focused on me, not on how I could help the company, help her, help the team.
Mm-hmm. So there's our number one great nugget to take away, right? And listen, I fell into the same issue. I spent the whole time comparing myself to other people that had the director title. And of course, the bottom of the barrel, right? Like, this dude's a director. Why not me? And instead of focusing on how it was going to help the company. So it's an easy trap. What percentage do you think you were when you raised your hand? If you don't mind me putting you on the spot.
Oh gosh, probably 35.
Yeah.
Very low,
Yeah.
but very much, what do I have to lose?
Awesome. Yeah, why not? Right? And you learned, and it didn't stop you from raising your hand next time.
I was much more prepared next time, and I knew what the qualification was, and I looked at it like it was a sale, and how do I best position myself, which I know we'll get into.
Yeah, I know. We're going to talk about that. That's good. So ladies, what percentage were you when you raised your hand? Does that confidence gap apply? Angela, why don't you go first this time?
Well, I would say the first time I applied, I would say I was probably a 70 or 80. So I felt fairly confident, but I was overly confident in my readiness. or not, I shouldn't say overly confident. I was confident in my readiness. I was unprepared for that next step. I was unprepared for the interview, for the conversations and all of those things. That's something that I had to learn my first time I asked for a promotion.
Awesome. Okay, good feedback. Grace, how about you? What percentage were you?
So I would say it was probably a 75 or 80%. And that's only because I had an amazing female boss and mentor. She's still a mentor to me. Her name's Jennifer. And she mentioned that stat to me really early on, and it stuck with me. And so I was like, I need to get out of my comfort zone. I need to advocate for myself early and often. So I didn't allow that to block me, but I still was at a higher percentage than that 60% stat.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's such a good thing. This is a good reason to share it with everybody. If it scares the crap out of you, you're onto something. Raise your hand. Jill, you're going to give us a number?
Honestly, I would say I was probably 90% ready, because I'll get into my story in a little bit. I had so much shuffle with management that I was the constant for my team. So I felt like I was doing the job before I had the title. And as Grace mentioned, I was also aware of the statistics.
Yeah. That's very true. It's very true. Okay. I want to go back and we're going to get into our steps here. Here we go. Everybody sees we're back up to our slide. Let's talk next about how do we prepare, right? What are we gonna do to get ready for this? So Jill, let's go to you first. Like you were going for it. We almost have, in fact, let's ask this first, you guys. Which is worse, going for it too soon or going for it too late? Let's jump into that for a second, and then we'll go into step one of how do we prepare.
I mean, I would say if you go too soon, you may not be prepared, but if you go too late, that somebody else could have beaten you to the punch and you just don't know it yet.
Yeah.
So
fair. Grace?
Yeah, I agree. So I think it's obviously important to advocate for yourself in the right way. And with that being said, we'll get into how to do that, but it's worse not to go for it at all, I would say. So I think of one story in particular. There is a really incredibly impressive woman that I used to work with who was an SDR. And I know that internally, I found out after the fact, she was really frustrated with the speed of her promotion path to AE. She wanted to move up more quickly. But she might not have even recognized her own value to the organization and didn't feel comfortable broaching the topic with all the right stakeholders, managing it like a sales process, as Mark mentioned. And so she didn't proactively bring it up internally. And so she ended up leaving the organization without the promotion, and I think feeling a little bit frustrated as well. And so I do think that if she had felt confident and comfortable broaching the conversation early and with the right people, that she might have had a better outcome. So go for it. That's what I say.
I have to tell you that I've probably heard 100 stories like that, and from almost always women, and at all levels, where we're frustrated that nobody's come to us or that we didn't get the job, and we vote with our employment. And it's crap. We have to stop doing that. I'm going to share another quick story. I was speaking at a women's event, Gals and Sals, put on by Brooke and Carrie at Outreach in Seattle. Yay, guys. Yeah, they had a panel. And prior to the panel at this women's event, so it's like 50 women and 4 dudes. So I always try to talk to the dudes, right? Our Marks of the world, and be like, hey, you're really cool for coming. And there was this kid, he'd been hired like 5 minutes. The truth was it was his first week. And I was standing there with he and his boss. And while we were talking, he actually asked his boss, how do you move up around here? What's a career path look like for me? And his boss told him the answer. It was no big deal. We're all having a beer. And I stopped for a second and I'm like, do you mind if I got a needle on this. Hey, boss, was that weird? Was it bizarre that he's worked for you for 20 seconds and he just asked that question? And boss is like, no, man, that's cool. We all have to know. Flash forward 20 minutes later, we're doing Q&A in the panel. And a woman speaks up from the back, raises her hand and says, I've been a top performing SDR here, like literally number 1 or number 2 for 2 straight years. How soon is too soon for me to start talking about getting a promotion? You're killing me. It's too late at that point, right? And you start to get frustrated. No, it's not too late. She can still do wonderfully in her career, but she could have already been making these steps and making the preparation. And that's the key. So let's dig into preparing a little bit. Jill, let's go to you first. What's your best advice for preparing for the next level and the big ask?
You Definitely have to document everything. It's very easy for you to know what you do every day, but sales leadership, they're busy. They may not understand all of the blood, sweat, and tears that you are putting into your job and even beyond your job. So I definitely suggest document everything so that way when you are ready for the ask, you have the support to back it up and you're not just like, hey, promote me. You have facts and the success story behind it already.
So you're really talking about documenting wins.
Yes.
Yeah,
and even
absolutely.
it could be failures too, because a failure can also be a win if you have a good story of how you overcame that.
Yeah, we all need actual stories for those interviews so we don't come up with bullshit challenges, right?
Yes.
Oh, I worked
Exactly.
too hard. Yeah. Angela, what's your advice on preparing?
Well, so two things. One, I want to just clarify in terms of being ready, right? There's preparation and then there's qualified. So if you are prepared, it's a great time to jump in and raise your hand and say, you know what, I'd like to take a stab at this. And you might get an answer back that says, you're not quite ready. But if you go in and you put your best foot forward and then you get great feedback and you're on the radar. So I wouldn't say that you have to be 100% qualified, but you should always be prepared. And the way that you can be prepared, the way that I always explain it is build a fan base. Have people that are waving your flag and telling you that you're awesome, that will, tell the hiring manager, this is somebody you should pay attention to. And you can put yourself on that radar early on. Just like the young man that you talk about, Lauren, he's putting himself on the radar, 20 minutes in,
Yeah.
Right? Hey, I'm one to watch, right? And then he did the right thing. And hopefully did the right thing, right? So he built that fan base and had people raising his flag. And I think that that's the right thing is day one, you start doing the right things. You do good in your job, and then you work to take on extra responsibilities. You work to get better. You continue to put yourself out there. And I think that's the best way to be prepared.
I really like that. I'm going to add a quick tip to that. As you're building a fan base, for some of you watching, you're like, how do I do that? Right? You talk to people about the fact that you do want to move up one day. You're eager to get to the management level, the director level, and you ask for advice, right? On how they got there or any tips that they would share. And the fact that you're just having the conversation and showing the initiative builds you a fan, right? Right. As long as you're not doing that and coming in at 20% to quota. That happens sometimes too. Mark, talk to us about preparing.
Yeah, so if this is an internal promotion, if you are sitting down for the first time with whoever the interviewer is or the stakeholder, if you will, is, you've already lost. To the point Angela just made, you need to be on the radar. The second thing is put yourself in that person's shoes. I think about if you're an SDR and you want to be promoted to AE and you're talking to the VP of sales. Let's say you are the best SDR. That VP of sales is thinking, am I about to lose some pipeline if I promote this person? So be ready to address that objection that is in their mind. And not only will it help put them at ease, but it also speaks to how prepared you are walking into the conversation.
Really well said. Really well said. I've got another nugget I'm going to share from a webinar we did in the past. Hillary Headley at Zoom shared a way to go out and find out what your perception is. So she said, partner with somebody else, a colleague, a mentor, an advocate internally, and give them permission to go and ask on your behalf, right? And it basically went something like if you're my crew at work, right? I would be coming in and saying, hey, I'm really eager to find out what I need to do. Everybody has blind spots, everybody has challenges, everybody has strengths, but we don't always know how we're perceived. And I really want your help with that. So my friend Angela, my mentor Angela, is going to reach out to you guys, and I hope you'll give her really honest feedback. Now, we have Angela do the reaching out because she's going to take it and anonymize it. Might have just made up that word, but right, she's going to get it and paraphrase it and take the names off so that it's safe for everybody and help deliver it to me so that I understand what that perception is. Because I remember being totally racked with those questions of, what do people actually think of me around here? Do you guys, does that resonate with you at all?
No.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you can go and find out. It's okay. A few other quick tips on how to prepare. By the way, I'm seeing some questions come in and I love it. Our amazing executive assistant at Factor 8 and Girls Club, Kate Faust, is going to be collecting those and helping us answer them at the end. All right. So how to prepare a year or so before. It's time to start asking about the opportunities and the paths. Another thing you can do is ask for proactive quarterly reviews. It's really easy in sales to only talk about the numbers in the pipeline when you get together with your boss. So put a time on the calendar, whether you take a one-on-one or at a special meeting. Say, I'd like to talk about my career and make sure I'm getting feedback more than just once a year in an annual review. All right? Getting the unfiltered feedback. Angela, I love your point about this. Will you pop in and talk about how you make sure you get good feedback?
Yeah. So a lot of times it depends on the relationship that you have with your boss or your mentor, whoever it is you're soliciting that feedback from. But one thing I have found that's really important, because when you seek feedback, people want to be positive. They want to support you. They're going to say, oh, you're so good at this. Oh, you're so good at that. Keep running with this. Stay on that track, because they're trying to be motivational and they're trying to be positive. So I think it's really critical, as someone that's really interested in the valuable, constructive feedback about the opportunities that you have, is that you give that person giving you feedback permission to be straightforward with you. Hey, what I'm really going to learn from, thank you. I appreciate all that positive feedback. What stands in the way of you putting your stamp on me getting this promotion? Is there any reason why you don't think I should get it? Please share that with me. I can take it, right? However you want to communicate that with them, but give them permission to be really honest, because that is where the growth comes from. You have to know those pieces. And sometimes you're being handled with kid gloves, and they don't want to go ahead and just be real direct. And that's what you need.
You did that with me within your first week on the job at Girls Club, right? I was telling you how awesome you were. You're like, great, but listen, what's really going to help me is the places where I'm challenged and where you see I can grow. I've used something similar in the past where you give people a number and they can't help but fill it in, right? We're going to have this quarterly meeting. I want to talk about my career. I would love to hear what you think are my strengths, and then 2 to 3 challenges, areas where I can grow, right? You're giving them permission and telling them what you can handle. So it's a really great thing. Thanks for that, Angela. A couple other tips as we get closer to time, a month or so before, make sure you've got a one-pager. This is what Jill was talking about. Document everything. What are those top accomplishments? And then to Mark's point, where is the job fit? Where is the benefit for the company in you doing this? Have your bullet points ready. Make sure you know what you're going to ask for, right? Negotiating 101 is, here's where I want to be, but here's my back pocket and what I'll take. Okay, so go do the research ahead of time to find out what the pay scales are. Cool? Make sure you have some questions ready for the meeting. If you come into an interview, well, we all interview sales reps, and they don't have a damn thing to ask, you're a little underwhelmed. And you want to go for it in a big way, do a practice run. Get a friend to interview you. Did anybody here do that? I didn't. I was too nervous and scared to. Did any of you do it? You did, Grace?
I did.
Tell us about it. Were you mortified?
For the practice run specifically, I actually I enlist my boyfriend on those practice runs, so he's a real gem, and he goes through it with me and gives me feedback and lets me role play it as many times as I want. So
that's so good.
I'm lucky that I have that.
I love it.
Partner, yeah.
I love it. You are lucky. Props to him. Cool. All right. So we're gonna jump to the next part, and that's the ask itself. Okay. So I'm gonna come down to you. Like, we've done all our prep. Now it's time to go and ask for the meeting. Right? It's not necessarily like, it's not just asking for the promotion, it's getting the meeting. We have to be that granular when we're scared. What's our plan for the ask? So let me come off share again and ask you guys. Jill, I'm going to come to you first. How did you ask?
So I use my one-on-ones as opportunities to ask for the promotion. And I'll tell you my story. I had 6 managers in 2019. So I had to hit the reset button pretty often. So instead of letting all the change bring me down, I spun everything in an optimistic way and used it as an opportunity to learn from new people. Each new manager was a new leader leadership representative that I could learn from. So through, again, those one-on-ones, I was able to share previous conversations with previous managers, my timeline discussions, the milestones I hit, and everything that I did to build that BDR team from the ground up. And something that was really important to me was I made sure that I respected every single new manager as much as I respected the last. So through all those interactions, my name got recognized. I built a positive reputation, which is very important to me. And by the time and again, with the documentation, I had everything to support it, that in November, it was a no-brainer. Leadership, they knew who I was. They knew what I did. I had enough credit to back it up. So I got promoted.
That's good. That's really going to Mark's point. What you were saying before, if the first time they're hearing about you is going into the interview, you've already failed, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, that's rough. All right. Angela, how did you ask? How do you get these meetings?
Well, to use a sales terminology, I would say that I would do a trial close, right? This is in preparation for those meetings, asking for it in advance, not necessarily in the interview, and saying, to my point earlier, what is it that I need to do to get this promotion? Would you say I'm ready? If you can get that buy-in from them early, to Mark's point, like they already know that you're in their mind as a candidate. Like that first time they meet with you should not be the time that they're hearing about your name. And so I think that that's the best way to do it along the way. What can I do? When will I be ready? Ask those questions, and each time you'll get more feedback and be more prepared for the actual interview.
It's good. I hope that people who are listening right now are feeling a little shocked about just how much we talk about it before it's even on the radar.
Right.
I'm going to read a chat that came in from Priscilla Ramos. Thank you, who says, the way I asked for my promotion was by going to the manager and saying, I know there's no opening at the moment, but when you are hiring for that position, what are you looking for? And what can I do to prepare myself to be qualified to apply for the position? Right? And we hear that a lot. Like, I haven't applied because there's no openings. Honey, it's too late when you're waiting for the opening. So way to go, Priscilla. That is precisely how you go and do it. Really, really good. Anybody else have something to share there?
I do, because they actually, through my story, there was no position. So I really told my story of, this is what I do. My team is being, they were doubling quota at the time, and I wasn't able to dedicate time being a rep myself. So it really just clicked and made sense. Okay, we need to pull you off the floor because you're doing so much to support the team that they created the position for me.
Nice. I think that most of my promotions were positions I created for myself as well. Yeah, we got to get out there and go for it. Okay, so here's an example of what you can do in an ask, okay? Just some little phrases that you can steal, because when we're nervous, little script starters help, right? So planning the meeting in advance. Don't bury the ask, okay? It's not, oh yeah, and point 17, when there's time, maybe we can talk about me, okay? That's not self-serving enough. Do ask in person, or ask it via email to get the in-person meeting. And when you get the yes, book a meeting in Outlook. Don't do it for 15 minutes. Give yourself an hour, okay? As soon as you get the yes and the go ahead, put it on the calendar. When we're nervous to do something, sometimes it helps to say, okay, can we do it? Now I've booked the meeting. Now there's no getting out of it. I'm not going to put it off for 3 months. I'm not going to schedule over it. I'm not going to run out of time in my next one-on-one. All of these should sound familiar to my viewers, okay? Keep the meeting separate. And here's the most important point. In the ask, don't sell. Now isn't your time to get it, right? Now isn't your time to justify it. You're just asking for the discussion. And here's some examples on the right. Now I'm going to do something a little left field. I'm going to share with you guys on the next slide an email that somebody shared with me they sent to their boss. I have changed it. I've protected names of innocent and not so innocent. I've even shortened it a little bit. I'm going to let everybody read it, and then I'm going to ask for your feedback, okay? This is the type of situation I get a lot. By the time they're asking me, they're this person who sent the email. Okay, I've got some people that are joining by phone, so I'm going to read. I forgot about that, guys. Hey, boss, since I'm off today and I'm going to miss our one-on-one, here's some things I don't want to forget to discuss in our next one-on-one. Number 1, Adam's raise. Number 2, me going to the New Hampton office and potential dates. Number 3, Chris transferring to the CS team. Number 4, hiring another manager. I still have all these direct reports. I can't give them all the coaching they need. Also, a conversation regarding my personal career path is long overdue. Since I've only been reporting to you for a short time, I don't know if you're the right person to have this conversation with. Either way, I wanted to start with you because I value your opinion and I wanted to get your feedback. Below are the things that I want to discuss. I have data and examples for all of these points, but I wanted to give you a heads up in advance. Bullet 1. I've been here for 4+ years and I've had no title change. I've been a director the whole time. Bullet 2. Other than a small annual raises, I haven't gotten a raise to what is fair for director level. Point 3. SDR managers get paid what I get paid. Point 4. If the company doesn't see me as more than a manager, then that's another conversation and it may be time for me to leave. Point 5. I do way more than just manage the SDR team. I do sales enablement, operations, partner enablement, etc. Number 5. Let's discuss my schedule. I do need to work from home about once a week, preferably Wednesdays. I think we can work this out. Thanks in advance for your time. So I'll leave this up here for anybody else who's still reading, but I'm going to open it up to my panel for some feedback. And let's start first, please, with what she did right. Who can give her some props?
So something that she did right was acknowledge that they missed a meeting, and obviously there was important items to discuss on her mind, so she's addressing it, but I don't know that it was the right way, but at least she, again, admits that there was stuff to talk about.
Good for you. Yes, I'm going to give her props for asking for it, okay? Like so many of us, we've talked about this the whole time, we're sitting on our hands waiting for somebody to come to us, and here she is addressing it. All right, Grace, can you lead us off here with where you might coach her?
Absolutely. So I think it kind of might go back to fear. In fact, the method for this communication being via email, I think having a conversation like this face-to-face or at a minimum over a Zoom video meeting is so imperative because we all know that our tonality can come across differently than we intend it when it's written in Slack or via email. So a conversation like this, it really does need to take place in person or at least face-to-face online. The tone here comes across as a bit entitled, a bit demanding, and a bit negative as well, with some threats almost thrown in about potentially leaving the company. So again, reframing it, doing it face-to-face, and making it about the value that is that the company can achieve through such a promotion, and understanding to Mark's point earlier, understanding how the boss might feel about that promotion. What would be in it for them?
Yeah,
exactly. Are they considering?
Exactly. Yeah. So this is why it's important to not sell in the ask. Okay. When you're asking for the meeting, here, her bullet points are her advocating for herself. And not all of them are positive. Some of them are, I feel like crap. Look what you've done to me. Right. And you guys, it's totally valid that she feels that way. And it's totally brave that she did this, but it didn't help her. Right. Mark, if you got this email, you're the boss. How do you respond?
I'm thinking, oh boy, this is going to be a tough conversation because you want the person you're sending this to want to help you. And while this person has been passed over clearly too many times and there's a lot to talk about, a simple ask for a meeting about my career path, I like the previous point about next week that disarms the boss to where they have time to prepare and think about it. And that boss might already know these things. So when you come to sit down, they may preemptively address some. Now, I know that's best case scenario, but when you give that time, you put yourself in a better position to win. So hold some of these details, frame it in a positive light. Small tidbit, if you don't use Grammarly, download the free plugin in Chrome. It'll tell you if your email is reading like it's polite or not. And
really?
It's actually really helpful. I do this for some of my emails. So anyhow, this tone doesn't make me want to help very much.
And Angela, anything you want to add?
I would go back to the point about when you're asking for feedback and you're trying to give them permission to give you good feedback, they're telling a lot of things here. And it would make me think that this person is not necessarily in the right place to receive the feedback, I have to say. We also have to consider the fact that they're saying that their boss, their supervisor, whoever this is, hasn't been there very long. And so to Jill's point, where she had to go in and she had to continue on with that reputation and treat each new person and make sure that they were, understanding who she was and the value she had. it doesn't seem like that relationship is built here. So they're just getting ahead of themselves quite a bit and not fostering a positive relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the truth behind this. Okay. So many, especially women, are sharing with me that they're in this situation. I'm underpaid. I've been doing the job at the next level. I feel passed over. But what they haven't done is had the conversation ahead of time. Okay. So by skipping this preparation step that we've talked about doing a year before and waiting for someone to come to you, you wind up pissed. And you're not wrong to be pissed, right? Everybody is getting paid more than you. Unfortunately, that's on you. Okay. So this is why we have to plan the ask. Now, all of these bullet points are valid and they can be reframed in your one pager when you go into the meeting. It's also why you never sell in the ask, right? The ask is very simply, hey, could we get some time to discuss next week? Then in the meeting, we bring our reasons why. And I love all the coaching that you guys shared of, all right, well, let's take it and reframe it. Okay. You are 2 years past due in having this conversation. So you're right. You're feeling frustration, but you gotta get rid of all of that. And you've got to prepare and frame it in a positive light. So let's talk about the meeting itself. Okay. One of the things that can be scary is bringing it up. I've asked for the meeting. It's on the calendar. Nobody canceled. Oh, crap. My hands are sweating. Here we go. I'm walking in to this career discussion meeting. Now, some of you listening to this are like, whatever, it's no big deal. We got this, right? Like my buddy Josh at Outreach, who was like, hey, boss, minute 2. How does somebody get ahead around here? But there's a lot of people on the flip side of that who have been holding it for years, like the awesome young woman who wrote that email. Very brave. Thank you for sharing that with me. All right. I've got some steps. I absolutely positively stole this. It's something called nonviolent communication by Marshall B. Rosenberg, PhD. I learned this from a coach who works with Brene Brown. And it's kind of powerful, and I'm kind of trying to use it, right? Isn't she amazing? I'm practicing with my kids. Like, that's how great this thing is. And it goes like this, okay? It's especially important when you have some drama rolled into this, when you have some frustration, some anger, some fear, some positive, negative emotion. Step 1, intro sentence. Step 2, an observation. And you can't have an observation with blame, folks. This is where we fail. Your feeling and your value, and then you ask nicely for what you want. I'm going to show you an example. Hey, I'm here to talk about my career path and ask for your help in earning a promotion. We're growing quickly and promoting from within, but I haven't advanced in the past 2 years. Straight up observation. It's not, I have been passed over. It's not, people around me have gotten it. It's not, I've been doing the same job at the same pay. It's, I have not advanced in 2 years. Straight observation. I'm feeling a bit concerned. And if I'm honest, a little discouraged. When you share your feelings, people can't get angry with you about it, right? You can't be right or wrong. It's how you feel. You can be wrong if you're blaming them in how you feel, right? I'm feeling pissed. I'm feeling undervalued. I'm feeling that's blaming them for how you feel, right? Then the value. The opportunity to advance is really important to me. You guys can all Google nonviolent communication and get really great lists of words for feelings and values. Swear to God, I use this with my kids now. And then the ask nicely for what you want. I've got a proposal to get me promoted to Director of Enablement in the next 6 months, including my accomplishments and job fit. Would you please review it with me and help me make a plan to achieve it? Now, I wrote this based on the email we just observed, right? And it's a kind of a better way to frame it in the ask. But I'll tell you guys, as I shared this with my panel, Mark raised his hand. He's like, nope, still wouldn't work for me. It's not feeling right to me. Mark, tell us more about that.
So I want more of the frame around why this is good for the business. Again, in the mindset that my promotion is going to help you and you and you, the value, just like when you're selling, it's not about, hey, buy this so I make commission. It's buy this because it's going to help you in way X, Y, and Z. And so I think the NVC example is really good, or much better than the email, but don't be afraid to outline in a direct way how your promotion, what that could mean for the business.
Nice. Anybody else?
I think it's important to remember that you have to own your development, right? So you're having this meeting, and the one thing you are really asking for is feedback and help and support. But then it's up to you, right? You actually build the action plan. You follow up with the next one-on-one meeting to discuss what happens next. And remember that they can only care so much, right? If they're fighting that battle for you, you're not getting anywhere. And so you have to make sure that you're committed to all of the pieces that you have to own, which is, 85 to 90% of it. And as long as they're giving you the direction, you got to run with it. It has to be you.
So true. Yeah, so true. I have to tell you, one of the favorite ways I've been asked recently was by my former marketing director. She booked a meeting with me in our one-on-one and said, hey, listen, I know that you don't spend all day sitting around trying to remember the last time everybody was promoted and how much they get paid. So I need to bring that up to you because I'd like your help getting myself to the next level. And I was like, you're exactly right. Crap, did we miss an annual review? How long have you worked for me? What's your name again? Because I'm just busy doing everything else. So I thought she was right on about that. All right, cool. I'm going to share one other example that we did with nonviolent communication, but this is like from somebody who's new, somebody who's not feeling all pissed off about it, right? Hey, thanks for meeting with me. I'm here to talk about my future at Factor 8. Sales is a really fast growing department and there's a ton of roles. I'm feeling really eager to advance and I'm excited to learn about the next level. Longevity to company and loyalty is really important to me. My goal is to achieve AE at the next open position. Could you please help me prepare? Right? So if you're feeling stuck, try copying the different steps to go through that. You'll find that some don't fit. You can throw others out. You may find after your fourth draft that it's just easier to be like my buddy at Outreach. You'd be like, hey, how's somebody get ahead around here? What do I need to do? Talk me through it. All right, let's go through some last minute kind of lightning round tips. Yeses and nos on preparing, getting the meeting, during the meeting. I'm going to show some I have documented here and invite you guys to come off mute and give me some add-ons, give me some yeses, some nos, I agrees. Jill, you first.
No, I think that you have to, again, focus on that company benefit. I agree with everything here. I don't know about expecting the surprise because you don't want to think negative before you have that opportunity to feel that positive. But again, I just want to go off what Angela said. You own your career path, so really take control and just feel confident. That's the hardest part.
Yeah, it is the hardest part. And I will tell you guys, I'm going to clarify two things on here. The first one, Jill, thank you for that. There are so few people who do this, right? That I think you guys can agree as leaders now in your companies, you can remember the people who actually did this and advocated for themselves. And they are the top 5, 10, at most 15%. So you will instantly stand out by just having these conversations ahead of time. Here's the reason behind expect surprise. Ladies who are sitting on your hands, who are feeling passed over right now, and dudes too, if it happens, right, and the confidence gaps study isn't true, and you're feeling the same way, when you bring it up, hey, I've been hoping to move up, I'm kind of feeling passed over, they will be surprised. Because just like Chandra had said to me, I'm not sitting around all day thinking about everybody on my team and how long they've been in those positions, okay? Just because you're thinking about it all the time doesn't mean the boss or the advocate or the people that you're trying to sell to, if you will, are thinking about it all the time. Anything else you guys want to add on kind of the do's? Mark?
Okay, so when you make your ask, do ask for more responsibility before you ask for a title. The other part to loop that in and that you have here is try to do it before. Ask, can I own that? If Grace went in and said, can I be the vice president of sales? I'm not sure how that would have went over, but if she went in and said, hey, can I own and lead this portion of the team because I think I can deliver value here? That's hard to say no to.
Mark, will you tell us your story on this? Because you did something really similar in the past year at Ambition.
Sure. So our VP of sales before me left, and he left right before the fourth quarter. So we're going into a really important quarter for the company. I knew hiring a VP of sales would be tough in the fourth quarter, and I knew that our leadership team would need plenty of time to do that. And so I sent a note to all of them entitled Make Me Interim VP of Sales for $0. And I made a proposal saying, hey, I'm the best one to take the responsibility right now. I understand you're going to run a full process, as you should. Give me the story right now, and then when you find your person that fits, I'll happily go back to what I was doing before. Now, a couple things in here. I did put a backstop on the time frame. Don't do this for free forever. But what happens is now you're in seat, you are the bar. So everyone they interview has to be better than you. And they're getting to observe you firsthand. So if you believe in yourself and you know you're the right person to do it, you've disarmed the sale in a way, de-risked it, and now you have the story you want.
That's so good. Yeah, when you said give me the story, explain that.
I knew I wanted to lead a team again. I'd done it before. I know in software, sometimes you have to do it in software before another software company believes you can do it in software. And so
what's up with software?
Snooty software people, right? So I wanted to do it in the fourth quarter. I knew if I had a story to tell that I led a team in the fourth quarter to their goal as an interim VP of sales in my career, that was going to mean a lot, much more than if I had asked for an extra X amount of money to get the story.
You made it no risk to the company. You were brilliant in putting in a backstop. I have talked to women who have been doing 2 jobs for 6 months, 6 years, and never gotten the promotion or the position because we're waiting for them to bring it to us. Brilliant. Yep. Thank you for sharing that. Really good. All right, let's go to some maybe don'ts. Maybe not so much on these things. Wait to be asked. Talk about why it's not fair. Punish them for not asking. This is how we get disengaged. This is how you take an employee who's actively engaged all the way into actively disengaged. And we do it in our own freaking heads because the fear is stopping the ask from coming out of our mouths. We don't want to give ultimatums. We don't want to make Lauren's mistake and compare ourselves to the worst of who we want to be. We don't demand an answer instantly. We don't expect confrontation. And to the point we just made about Mark, don't do that next level job indefinitely. Panel, what can you add for me here?
I have another. Don't cry. I don't know how you guys are, but I'm emotional. So there's definitely meetings where I would feel the tears build up and I would talk myself down. So don't have the meeting if you're overly emotional because crying is not the best.
Yes, baseball, sales, neither one. It's not okay. But maybe that's why you practice. Yeah. Maybe that's why you identify what you're scared about ahead of time. Maybe you have to identify what you're pissed off about ahead of time. Because if you're talking about these really weighty emotions for the first time in front of the person you want to hire you and put you in charge, you're effed. Nice one. Anybody else?
I would say don't ask for the feedback. Don't ask to make an action plan and then not follow up on it, right? Sometimes you think you look good just for asking the question. I'm going to show them I'm a go-getter. What can I do to get promoted? And then you walk out the door and you don't follow up. You know, that your boss may not be, on your case and say, hey, let's meet again to talk about this again. You need to set up that next meeting. You need to track your progress so that you can show them, here's what I'm doing to get there. It's not a one and done conversation.
God, really good advice. And you know what? This must be why I thought to put you on this panel, because that's exactly how you got the job with me, right? Like you created this position. I wasn't sure I was going to hire for it. And like you helped put it together and then you followed up every month. Let's get it going. Let's get it going. Let's make it happen. And it was a no-brainer then.
You have to show them it's important to you. If it's a fleeting thought, then where is your commitment?
You absolutely managed me during that entire process. Well done, you. I've been Angela. I love it. Really good. Anything else on the do's and don'ts before I go to our next question?
Can I add one more don't?
Yeah, of course.
I'm thinking there's probably someone on this call who is going, I don't know exactly what I want. Like, I'm not sure what promotion I would want to prepare for.
Good.
Don't let that cause you to not have exploratory conversations with leaders in other parts of the business or parts of the sales org. But you can have these same conversations because everyone has been there before when they're trying to evaluate what their next move is. And the smartest thing you can do is ask.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I'm eager to move up. I want to stay with the company. That loyalty and longevity is important to me. I need help exploring what might be the right path for me. Can you help me meet maybe some leaders of other departments I might be able to shadow or interview to learn more?
Yep.
Good one. I really like that a lot. All right, so here's the next big question. How can these tips and do's and don'ts apply to asking for the raise? Grace, I'm going to go to you first on this one because you've got an interesting story. If you'll kind of share the background with everybody and then what they should do.
Absolutely. So my most recent promotion, I actually was not proactively seeking a new title. That was brought to me. I was looking for a raise. So so that is an interesting situation where I was approached with the title and the responsibilities that I had already taken on. A lot of these tips apply to asking for a raise as well. I actually think it's a very similar type of conversation. You want to do the job that you want before you have it, right? Like before you officially have it. And that's the same with the raise. You want to prove your value, I think, before you go and make the ask. Take on additional responsibilities, communicate very early and very often about what you're doing and the value that it's bringing to the organization. Do your market research as well. So know your worth. And you made this point earlier, LB, and I totally agree about knowing what you want and what you're coming in with, and when you're asking for a raise or a promotion, but also knowing where you're willing to go. And honestly, take a look in the mirror and think about what you'd really be happy with and what will keep you, motivated and excited to be at the organization. And then definitely practice, grab a friend, grab a mentor, practice the conversation, anticipate the potential pushback, anticipate where the other person is coming from, and make sure you're making it, to Mark's point, I think you've raised this a few times, Mark, make it about the value to the business as well, and do it face-to-face.
Excellent tips all the way around. I did a LinkedIn poll a couple weeks ago, just informal, right? How many rounds did you negotiate your salary? The vast majority of the men were 2+ rounds. The vast majority of the women accepted the first offer. Mark, tell us about that for you. So you're interim, you're doing the job at $0. You have a backstop, right? You're the de facto winner. So you come in knowing your value. How'd you get the cash?
Yeah, I was pretty direct about what I expected. And one of those was that the leadership team would do the right thing, and they did, and not try to leverage the fact that I was already in seat to take advantage of me somehow with compensation.
And it does happen.
Well, Mark just wants the role. Right.
Not at Ambition, it wouldn't happen.
No, luckily no. But it as you think about negotiation and you think about leverage, sometimes you're vulnerable in that, or you might think you're vulnerable, but really you're not, because you've proven value to where it's difficult for them to unseat you, in my example too. So, but to Grace's point, there's so many tools now that you can research what the ranges are. There are people you can ask, hey, Mark, hey, Grace, you have VP of sales title. Can we talk ballpark? That those types of things will prepare you to know that you have an appropriate ask when the time is right.
Good. There are many things that can be negotiated, not just dollars. Expect to go 1 or 2 rounds. It is the dance. Everybody does it, just like a sale, right? Your client's going to beat you up a little bit on price. I've got one last question for y'all, and then I'm going to turn it over to questions. Kate's going to come in and tell us some of the questions for you guys. Now that we've talked about your experience in getting the promotion, okay? And Mark and Grace, I'm going to come to you first as VPs in big organizations, right? Now you watch other people doing it. What do you look for? Anything else come to mind? And I'll open it up to the entire panel as well. Obviously, it's been in some of the advice you've given so far, but anything else? Grace.
I think I'm definitely echoing and probably repeating and rehashing all the great advice that's already been given. But I recently promoted someone on my team to a team lead, and it was a no-brainer. And that's honestly what I'm looking for. And the reason why it was a no-brainer when he made the ask is because he had the conversation early and often with me. It's true what Angela said, that no one is sitting there and thinking about your career growth more than you are. I wasn't sitting there thinking about, unfortunately, with my day-to-day, I wasn't thinking about that. So he communicated early and often, and he actually took on the additional responsibilities of that team lead role so that it was a natural fit. It wasn't something that anyone would raise an eyebrow at when he got the promotion. So
Good. I love
that's what I'm looking for. Not demanding, not, just doing the work.
Get it.
And then
Get it
proving
first,
value.
prove the value, communicate it early and often. Nailed it.
Yep.
Mark, anything to add? Anything different?
One more and I'll stop, is that there's a fine line of how often you ask, right? If you're sitting in a weekly one-on-one and you're asking about this every Monday at 2:30, you're probably driving your boss nuts. You have to get the appropriate cadence, which put the ball in their court. Hey, I in 6 months, I would like to be here. How often should we check in on my progress towards those goals? And how will we track those and have visibility between the two of us together? And that is very disarming, and it's also giving you the path that you're looking for.
Thank you for that. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Kate. Say hi to Kate, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Give us some questions.
So we've got some good questions here. So first, what if I'm told that I'm going to be promoted, but leadership will not give me a timeline?
Ooh, good one. Panel, if you've got an answer, jump in. Please.
Ask them what they would do in this situation.
Role play that really quick for me, Mark. Yeah, Mark, we're going to promote you. I don't have a timeline.
LB, gosh, I love this company. I love being here. You know that I want to make sure you're successful. It's really hard for me to operate without a timeline. How do you suggest I handle that?
Nailed it. Again, do you guys see how Mark is always pivoting to the benefit of the company and the person he's selling to? This is why he leads the sales team. Good. Next question.
Mark, how did you word the backstop language?
So this is a pretty simple answer, but we were going into Q4. Our calendar and fiscal are the same. So I just said, hey, at the end of the year, you'll have seen my quarter. If you haven't already hired someone else by this point, I just ask for a decision on Jan 1.
Nice. And then did you follow up and book a meeting on Jan 1?
You know, I didn't book a meeting, but I was constantly surfacing that date. Once I felt the traction of this is working, the team wants this, this could happen.
Nice. Good. Next.
Sure. How do you ask for a promotion if you are already doing the job without the title and the pay? How do you make it no risk for the company and angle it to the benefit of the company?
Oh, I got this one.
No, yeah,
This is my 2019. So again, it all goes back to documenting. You definitely have to stay patient because, as Mark was saying, you don't want to nag, you don't want to annoy, because people are just going to think less of you. So stay patient, prove your value. And even a situation I was in is I actually had to get pulled off of the floor, and I positioned it as, you needed 4 BDRs. Now you really only have 3, so why not allow me to fully focus on the management with, restructuring the team as a group of 3, not 4, because that's best for our entire sales organization.
Good. Good. Anybody have something to add? Kate, let's do the next one.
All right. I'm told that my promotion track depends on company hiring goals. They are a recruiter. How do I make my case that it should depend on my job performance?
I'll take that one. So I think that you need to try to have a transparent conversation with your leader and understand your value. There's a fine line between what you're willing to be patient for and then when you have to know that this isn't going to be the right opportunity for you. As a leader, I've been in the position where somebody is asking for a promotion or asking for a raise. And I'm going to, if I see their value and we're having great conversations, I'm going to my boss and saying, I have this person, what do you think? And then I am transparent with them and say, as best you can, obviously, while respecting, the things that are happening within the company and what you should share and shouldn't. But you need to be able to say, like, we have a hiring freeze for the next 6 months or for the next 3 months. So it's not going to happen in the next 3 months. And I understand and appreciate, that's the biggest thing as a leader, is to make sure they understand that you appreciate them. But as the person asking for the promotion, you have to kind of know within yourself whether or not this is something that's going to push you to move onto another company. At some point, if that raise doesn't happen, if that promotion doesn't happen, you have to know when you're saying, okay, this was a great experience. I learned so much, but I'm going to start looking somewhere else. It's not happening here.
What an amazing, I'm going to end it on that one. Thank you. Right. You've got to have your own timeline and when it's time to start putting feelers out. And that's all there is to it. Don't let the size of your company or where they are stop you. Kate, thank you so much for that. One more thank you to Jill, Grace, Angela, and Mark. I'm also going to thank our sponsors. We all know and love Outreach, right? Outreach helps sales teams secure more meetings and focus just on sales. They're a longtime friend of Girls Club. We've had members of Outreach in every one of our protege and mentor batches, and we really, really appreciate their support. So if your company is looking at a cadence tool or maybe not super satisfied with theirs, please make sure that Outreach is on the list. Ambition, 2-year sponsor, longtime friend. I love this tool. So Mark, you said gamification, but it's also dashboards and manager coaching tools and places to document what's happening in these one-on-one meetings when you're asking for the promotion. And our last sponsor, Factor 8, what do they do? Who is that? That's my other company, you guys. 7-time award-winning sales and manager training company. Factor 8 donates all of the training and funding for Girls Club that doesn't get covered by our sponsors. So I want to thank my Factor 8 team for keeping all of the things moving and alive on that side of the house while I've been over here playing in my passion project with Girls Club. If you liked this topic and you want more, always learn more about Girls Club at wearegirlsclub.com. And check out the fact we have a finale conference coming up. Topics like this, practicing negotiating the salary, talking more about building confidence, interviewing tips and techniques, amazing speakers at one of the most beautiful resorts in the entire world, and I'm insured coronavirus free. That is happening in June, and you can learn more at wearegirlsclub.com. If there were questions that were unanswered, Angela and Jill have raised their hands and offered to answer those, and we'll email back the answers. If for some reason you're not registered or you used an email address you don't check, chat that to us now so Kate can grab it and we can get the Q&A to you. I'm going to hang here for another couple seconds for anybody who's got questions. I thank you all so much for joining us today. Way to go, panel. Thanks, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.